All right, yeah, we're taking a look at this Boudoir photography business today. Gonna see if it's got BSS for its local search or its city search on Google. All right, so we're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. And as always, our North Star here is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More about that, pinned video up on the top, homepage, wherever. Now, this is because FSIC explains that all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So we got in white down there, our intent, basically our intent spectrum, highest intent on the left, lowest intent over on the right. And so if a boudoir photography business is rising, it's most likely bringing in peeps from the entire intent spectrum, the whole length. And if a boudoir photography business is falling, then most likely it's missing, not bringing in, some cohort of people. Now, the highest 10 people over on the left are doing things like Google search, social media search, like a boudoir photo shoot in their city, like right now. And those people are fastest to the money, highest to convert. We talk about that with BSS here in our videos. And then our sister brand, way at the end over there, name is Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. That's where we are talking about BLCS. But right now, we're only currently working with the boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. So on to BSS. BSS is boudoir search sameness. As when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 on Google for the highest intent buyer keywords in their city. And so 0 slots is awful. I mean, we're basically dead at that point. That's because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even reach page 2. So 80% of Google searches literally, one and done Google searches, or page 1 and done Google searches. So from page 2, only approximately 20% of searches of people searching will ever even find us. And page 1 slot, that's not good either. Or 1 slot on page 1. I mean, it's better, but we're still basically invisible because guess what? There's 10 organic slots on page 1. If we go on one of them, then there's basically 9 other boudoir photographers with 1 slot. Best scenario. Worst scenario is if another boudoir photographer is like 2 or 3, and then we're going to really never getting looked at. But let's say everyone has 1. And guess what a buyer's doing? They're going down, clicking open everyone's link on page 1, because approximately 80% of buyers ain't even hitting page 2. And guess what? They're contacting everyone on page 1, getting a quote from everyone, comparing, price gets shoved down through the roof or down through the floor, and kind of steals margin from everyone. So 0, 1 slots on page 1 on Google, no. As BSS, we cannot deal with any of that. And that's because 0, 1 slots on page 1 on Google is actually not normal. It's actually a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. So it's super common, it's accepted, but symptom of 2 deeper root causes, and those are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So market saturation, yeah, basically everyone knows this. It's like, seems like every week somebody gets a new iPhone, and then they're throwing up their Google My Business profile and their websites and the National Boudoir. That's kind of taking competition, page 1 organic slots away from us. And or someone gets a camera, and they're posting to the mom groups in the National Boudoir. Also, big wave of this happened during COVID. People lost their jobs, it's out there in money. So as a result, everyone's got a smartphone and an awesome camera. So pretty easy people to say that they now for boudoir. But what that does increase the supply of boudoir photographers, but the number of buyers remains the same. So it makes it harder for every seller, every boudoir photographer to be getting those clients. All right, so everyone knows that. Basically, everyone knows that. Basically, nobody knows about this second thing, which is the false belief of page 1 equality. So that is kind of boudoir photographers kind of automatically assuming without even questioning that every boudoir photographer is entitled, to like either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. And, maybe they had their slot 8 on page 1 of Google with their website. So new boudoir photographers came in, ranked higher, and gets pushed out to page 2. And it's like, oh, well, every boudoir photographer gets 0, 1 slots on page 1 of Google. It is what it is. And basically, they're believing there's nothing that can be done about it. This is 100% incorrect. And I know this for a fact because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on Google, on page 1 of Google, to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 on Google in only 10 days with this new strategy we're going to show you all today, or that I'll describe today. And it's kind of like we got to break through the mental barrier of accepting this as a false belief. And then once we do that, we can see, okay, there is a solution out there that we'll get to in like 2 pictures here. That, okay, we can use this to actually literally get as many page 1 slots on Google as we want to put in the effort for. Next, a boudoir photographer BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer, a DBP. So, disappearing boudoir photographer. Basically, if we got 0, 1 slots on page 1 on Google, we're disappearing because we're either on page 2 or deeper, and approximately 8% of searchers are never going to find us, and that's the bulk of the market that we care about. And if we got one slot on page one of Google. We're being price shopped against the other 9, destroying our margins. We're basically invisible anyways. And we care about this because the disappearing boudoir photographer is the warning light. It's kind of the the red flag going up, where the disappearing boudoir photographer precedes the boudoir photography business itself disappearing. So that's why we care about that. And we got our micro universe here. We got disappearing with boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness. It's caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page one the false belief of page one equality, where we accept it's a false belief. So we're like, okay, now what's the solution? Boom, we finally got a solution. But through our testing, we've learned that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And we know this works because we invented it. It's what I use to go from 0 out of 10 slots, page one of Google, to 9 out of 10 slots, page one of Google, in only 10 days. And I mean, it works exactly as it's described. We saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, pick up as many slots on social as possible on social search, and that kind of acts as like the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America, where the streams, small streams, the small rivers from the backside of the Andes Mountains actually all flow together to the Amazon River, and into the big Amazon River. That big Amazon River is like page one of Google, and so, but it all starts with social search saturation. That's where it all stems from. And the cool thing about this is the only solution I've ever seen for boudoir photographers that can successfully fight against market saturation, so maintain the business and not decline, but also still grow in the face of market saturation, and for it to happen relatively quickly, and those at least visible results of getting on page one of Google to happen relatively quickly. The only other solution that I have seen is having a strong brand, but that takes 5 to 10 years, which doesn't satisfy the relatively quickly criteria that we need. Because dude, we're in the AI. Dude, AI taking peep shops. We gotta get as much. We gotta get as much slots on page one as Google as possible before AI starts taking people's jobs. And I mean, it's pretty easy to see. SQ methodology can do this. So imagine we're in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and there's 1 million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got their websites and they shoot boudoir. So page one competition is insanely crazy. And let's say we take, we see that and we say, okay, we got to take S-cubed methodology to the max. So what we actually do is we actually do S-cubed methodology so hard that we're like the first 300 slots on social search for the highest intent keywords, highest intent buyer keywords for boudoir in our city across all the social networks. And then let's say that flows onto Google, and we're taking like the first 300 slots on Google for the highest intent keywords for boudoir buyers in our city. And it's 10 organic slots per page on Google. So we're literally taking up the first 30 pages on Google. So anytime any buyer looks up, types in a high intent buyer keyword into Google, or even any of the social networks, they're only seeing us. They basically got to go to like page 31 on Google to essentially find any of our competitors. And so once that happens, then basically once that happens, and buyers can essentially only find us. They only see us. Who are they going to go with? Obviously us, whose business will be growing, even though there's 999,999 other boudoir photographers. Obviously us. And whose business will be dying and disappearing because they essentially cannot be found at all for anyone searching. All our competitors. So again, this is why I said the SQ methodology is the only thing I've seen that helps boudoir photographers maintain and still grow their business in the face of market saturation. That happens, or I can get on page one of Google relatively quickly, way faster than Brandon. In my estimation, I could probably build that brand about 8x faster normally because we show up so much more on so many other surfaces. Now, once you're with SQ methodology, we now have page one visibility. So, we got multiple slots on page one of Google as an initial benefit. Second initial benefit is every new slot we get on page one of Google, we're actually kicking one of our competitors at that slot, push them off to page one or deeper, making so approximately 80% of Google searches can never find them. So we turn them into disappearing boudoir photographers where if they stay there, they're eventually going to exit, be kicked out of the market. So this is an awesome, second initial benefit of using SQ's methodology. So we're making other peeps invisible. And page one visibility expects boudoir search visibility for us. So BSV, we actually, this is where our GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page one on Google comes in. So the GBC universe recommends 3 out of 10 slots page one on Google, because basically every other boudoir photographer page one on Google will have 1 out of 10 slots or 1 slot. So if we see 3, or if a buyer sees 3, they're kind of subconsciously going to think, man, why is Google recommending this person so much? I guess I'll click into them and may not even click on any of our competitors. And second reason GBC Universe recommends 3 out of 10 as the minimum, because there's a tiny, tiny, tiny chance another boudoir photographer can have 2, which means we also got to be able to dominate them in that case as well, with us having 3. So, and the recommendation of 3 is basically if we got 3 out of 10 page one on Google, we're basically guaranteeing we're not declining. So we're guaranteeing we're either, treading water, so maintaining the business, or growing the business. Most likely growing the business, but we're at least not declining. That's like the big goal here. And finally, a boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility is a visible boudoir photographer. So we got our full micro universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and page one, and the false belief, page one equality. Now we have the solution S-cubed methodology, which achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. All right, now my results doing this. So I wanted to rank for the term BLCS boudoir. So I know, okay, the exact thing I do for that is S-cubed methodology. I want to have as many slots page one Google as possible. Let's go down the organic slots. And we got organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 9, no, I'm not slot 9. Slot 10, me. So dude, I went from 0 out of 10 slots to 9 out of 10 slots on page one of Google in only 10 days, purely using S-cubed methodology. So these are the results I've gotten for myself with it. And onto the main event here. Gonna check out this boudoir photography business. Gonna see if their local search or city search, if they got BSS for either of them or both of them or what. So we're going to Haymarket, Virginia. Okay. Haymarket, Virginia. No, we're at DMV right now. Here's Haymarket. All right, let's see what we got here. So, all right, can't generate AI overview right now. All right, so we got 1. We got 2. We got 2. We got 3. All right. All right, we got 3. Nice. So good. So we do not have BSS, and we hit the recommended GBC minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page one Google search. All right, perfect for local search. That's good. Good start. Let's look at DMV. All right. Same thing we got here. Let's see. Not seeing us at all. All right, so we are 0 out of slots page one on Google for city search. So we do have BSS for city search, and we're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots page one for Google search. So if you're a boudoir photographer and you've got BSS boudoir search sameness for your own business, you're seeing the market's getting more and more saturated over time, and you feel like you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, or gonna become disappearing, because of what we'll talk about in like 10 seconds. And you also see that the page one equality is a false belief, like everyone kind of automatically accepted because there was no like word to describe it, to say, hey, I believe this is true or not true, but now we got a word to describe it. And you're seeing the way AI is creeping in, more and more people being laid off, which, what was the last time that happened? COVID, what happened? Massive influx of boudoir photographers, massive influx, massive supply, all fighting for the same eyeball, approximately the same number of buyers. So it's getting harder and harder for each boudoir photographer that enters the market. And you're saying, okay, it looks like I do need the S-cubed methodology to kind of preempt or prepare myself for AI pushing more boudoir photographers into the market, which means there's going to be more competition for page one on Google search. But if I can preempt that, get there already, and it's probably already happening right now as we speak, then we can be prepared to not become a disappearing boudoir photographer. We can achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, even though more are probably going to be joining, and achieve boudoir search visibility, and get the extra bonuses on the back end where kind of the more these thematic keyword columns are attached to our brand throughout social, things like that, social search, and the higher chance we show up in, AI overview search here at the top of Google searches, and the higher chance we show up among AI search in general, ChatGPT search, Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini search, Claude search, Perplexity search, whoever. When we have these like thematic keyword pillars entwined with us across all our social channels, ranking on Google, this is where the AIs pull from. So we're increasing the probability to show up in all these searches as a back-end benefit. And we're also noticing that if someone else starts using S-cubed methodology for their boudoir photography business before us in our city, all those front-end benefits, page one Google, kicking competitors off could happen to us. And those back-end benefits, them showing up in AI search instead of us. And then, well, you wouldn't be able to work with me because I'm only working with one person per city. So you'd have to figure out S-cubed methodology on your own and then implement it all on your own. And you'd have to actually meet the work output of the other boudoir photographer using it in conjunction with me and exceed us to catch up and overtake us before we overtake page one on Google, kind of push it as far as we want to. And so you've decided, all right, it's better to simply be a first mover because you need this on your way to becoming the #1 boudoir photographer in your city. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when I open up for new patient intake. Right now the hospital's closed. My DMs are closed. Cannot get in even if you wanted to. But shoot me a DM for when I do open up the doors, and we'll see if you qualify. We gotta have some questions. Gotta make sure I'm not working with anyone else in your city. And yeah, we'll see if you qualify.